And so, can you also now give us a quick crash course on critical thinking for our users who haven't had the opportunity to be able to learn it either in college or on any courses themselves?
That is so much pressure. I mean, I did a whole year of critical thinking, and you're asking me to summarize it in a few seconds on a podcast. That's just impossible. Um, but I mean, like I said, it's really, just to summarize it, it's really basically about asking the right questions, being able to. So, one of the things that we used to do is we used to read a lot. So, first of all, what you just mentioned, like how algorithms will get you to see what you want to see or what you've shown that you're prone to be interested in. Um, One of the things that, we were required to do was to read as vast an array of things on a particular topic as you can possibly get your hands on, right? So, for example, let's just take technology because we're talking about technology. Like, read all the stuff that is anti-technology, read all the stuff that is pro-technology, read all the stuff that's in the middle. So I think for me, critical thinking is also having access to as many schools of thought, to as many perspective and lenses as possible. And that's one of the things that we've stopped doing. Don't you think? It's like, if I believe this, then I'm going to focus on everything that I can find that justifies my beliefs and completely ignore what other people's perspectives might have been. So for me, it's about like being able to have a rich uh, uh, perspective or access to different schools of thought that even challenge your own. But that's an uncomfortable place to be as a human being because we don't like to. Like, if I believe something, I want people around me, books around me, everything around me that basically says, Mimi, you're 100% right in what you're saying. I don't want to have anything that challenges my point of view. But yet, that's how we grow, right? That's how you're able to go to the next level. So, and even, I mean, on a very practical sense, like, who wants to be, I mean, we tend to want to have, for example, friends that all think the same. Or, if you're an entrepreneur, which I am in my case, one of the recent pieces of research that was released was that you're going to tend to hire people or work with colleagues who think the same way as you do. And I mean, what a poor workplace that would be in terms of diversity of thought and just what people are able to bring to the table. So that's one of the reasons why, when you're hiring, like, have as part of your hiring committee as many people with as many diverse opinions and points of view as possible so that you can start to build that richness within your team. So if there was any crash course that I would say, that I would, crash, I suppose, tips that I would share is surround yourself with diversity, read as much as possible in around specific topics. So as many perspectives as you can possibly get your hands on, and then just get into the habit of asking questions. You know, I mean, I have so many questions for you, and it's your podcast. Like, I just want to ask you questions,
Yeah,
but maybe that comes from the fact that I used to be on the other side of the mic as well.
yeah, it usually feels very different when you're on the other side.
It does.
But feel free to ask me any questions that you have. And I agree with you, right? I think people need to read, what they agree with, what they don't agree with, and what's in the middle. Because one of the effects of, and negative effects of social media really is the fact that it's prone to confirmation bias, right? What you like is what it's
Mhm.
gonna show you. It's not gonna show you something that you don't agree with or you don't like. But I think
Exactly.
comfortable with the ability of sitting down with people we disagree with and listen to them and try to understand them rather than just listening to those who we agree with or
Absolutely.
those we agree with.
Absolutely. And you've just said a very interesting, important thing, which is listening. I mean, we don't listen as much as we need to be listening. Listening is such an incredible skill, and one that needs to be developed because, I often do storytelling workshops with entrepreneurs and leaders and executives, etc. And there's a part in my workshops where I speak about the power of silence. and how human beings and the human brain and psychology is very afraid of silence. So if we're talking, if you're in a room, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this in some situations. The moment there's silence, we feel like we need to fill that silence with words. And so we're almost preconditioned as human beings to talk as much as possible. Like silence makes us uncomfortable, but there's such power in silence. In the same kind of train of thought with silence is we also need to train ourselves to listen, you know, to be able to really be present in a conversation, listen to what the other person has to say, and not have to add or subtract or anything like that, but just to listen. So, I mean, you know, this is also, I'm sure a lot of women will relate. This is a conversation I have with my partner all the time. It's like, can you just listen? You know, like especially you guys tend to want to come up with solutions. Like I haven't even finished telling you what I need to say, but you've already like have like 10 different plans that you want to answer. Listening skills, guys. I'm a huge advocate of that.